All right, welcome to session 37. So, previously, you had been contacted by Jared after saving him when he was investigating the Grey Cult. You had planned to work with him to tail Tyrande and figure out where she goes at night and what her connection is to the Grey Cult. The Raging Ire won the expert rank martial tournament, and the entire group was invited to the Valenstar celebration of Gadrak, which is where you have been tonight. You discovered the sword and shield symbol as a sigil of the Blackstone Blade, a well-known weapon shop. You also discovered the meaning of the guild symbol found on the medallion during the festival. You investigated Kinsing Carpentry, stealing a wagon and searching its contents for drugs. You found evidence linking the operations back to XG and HV. You also learned the likely identity of at least one of those patrons. During the process of investigating Kinsing Carpentry, Galen, Davak, and Ire were arrested, but later released. You were able to infiltrate and listen in on the meeting at the Blackstone Blade, where you learned of the Walpurgin at the Metal Forgers Guild Hall. You are currently attending the celebration of Godrek, where you met a number of nobles, Elru, and Takra Razgar. After almost 4 hours at the event, it is now time to attend your audience with Lord Valenstar. As we begin, it is the 5th of Salium at around 10 at night, and you are being escorted to the office of Lord Valenstar. So you can see the map. I would suggest that everybody, so basically you guys are led toward the round room, so if everybody can find your way there, except for Galen, who can just wander around since he's not actually there.
Yeah, I'll just wander around.
Wait, where are we going?
To the
Sorry.
round room. It's over here. You'll see an NPC in there.
Yeah.
And I think Pico's finding his way, and then once he arrives, because you guys were told about the meeting, presumably you guys were together at the time, but somehow you guys got all split up again. Anyway, it's this way. And just straight ahead. Alrighty. And I am going to assume that Ire is with you at the moment, even though his player isn't here. And then at this point in time, the servant escorts you down the hallway. Alrighty. And Davak is still there, so I'm going to move him into the hallway. Anyway, once as you go down this very long hallway, you see all these closed and locked doors. You can see that there are signs on the doors that basically say no entry. And the servant arrives at Lord Valenstar's office, and he meekly knocks on the door. And then you hear a voice, "Please let them in." And the door opens. And he opens the door, I mean. And once he opens the door, he kind of stands to the side and gestures for you to enter. As you see the office, you can see it is well upholstered. There are chairs set out for just the right number of people. You can see the purple carpet and the yellowish lighting in the room. As you enter, you notice that the room, for some reason, seems a little darker than the rest of the house. You can see it's lined with bookshelves and a fine vase. There's a liquor cabinet behind you, plants growing, a richly upholstered couch, and a statue of a knight. And as you enter, He says, "Please, please have a seat. Pick either the chair or the couch is fine." You also notice that as you enter, a um, a uh, um, a small little lizard pops out his head he pops out of Ayer's attire. Um, Based on Ayer's reaction, it seems clear that Ayer wasn't aware that the lizard was there. And then you see Valenstar look over, and he kind of gestures, and the lizard vanishes. And he says, "Oh, my security is lacking. There was a little magical critter there on your friend. So please have a seat and come offer our guests some brandy." And then the servant comes in and rummages through the liquor cabinet, and he pours a glass of brandy for everyone and then hands them out. And after the brandy's hand out, he bows and then leaves once more. And then Alan Starr looks around at the group and says, "Well, I'm curious. What are your thoughts on the celebration and the people that you met?"
This
It was
was
a very,
truly an event to remember.
yes, it was a very fine celebration with delicious food and very interesting peoples. I
Why,
am curious, Mr.
why, thank you. Well, what was your question?
I am curious, Mr. Valenstar. Uh, how long have you been a mage?
How long have I say that one more time?
How long have you been a mage?
Very, very long time. Anyway, it is good to hear that you enjoyed the celebration. But there is something I'm curious about yourselves. I hope you will indulge me a few simple questions. The first thing
Of
I
course.
wanted to know is what is it like going out to Lumev on these long expeditions? What describe what kind of things you found out there, if you don't mind.
Well, it
Well,
was
I
a
can show you some of illusions of some of the creatures we've encountered. Although otherwise, aside from the sun and moon that are very different to what people are used to here, probably doesn't feel too different most of the time. But I go ahead and generate minor illusions of Cthulhu panthers and those really aggressive lizards. Um, let's see, what other nasty critters did we encounter?
the crystal critters were very interesting, as were the
For
crabs.
Those crystal creatures look interesting, but those beasts, they look fearsome indeed.
Oh, and they are. It is a little bit nerve-wracking every time we are going to Lumev, but it is very interesting. I mean, it is a hot deserts and wastelands to be navigating carefully, but
Of course, wastelands could be found in all the portals. The interesting thing here is that, well, it's not all wasteland. There are actually some very vibrant, nice places to visit.
Indeed, I guess the biggest fear is these these creatures. How common are these? How often did you have to fight these things?
Not particularly often. I mean, I don't know. I guess we had to average it out. Maybe a fight once every few days or something. Although we were admittedly looking for things. I wouldn't say it's really all that different from what somebody might find adventuring in the forests around here, or just about anywhere else I've ever been.
Well, that is good to know. There are fears running around, you know. So, which leads me to the next topic, which is where do you stand on the Lumev issue, or shall I say the portals in general?
Well, my personal opinion is that, uh, well, I know that there's the issue with the fact that Kylon have come in at all, but based on what we've seen in the in Lumev, it's become very clear that it is possible to somehow keep the Kylon at bay on an enduring basis, even without any sort of truly active intervention. Um, we have seen evidence that the Kylon did, in fact, invade Lumev and cause significant damage, but we've seen an abrupt line that seems to indicate where their advancement was stopped, beyond which life continues as normal. So it's my opinion, at least, that there is a way to stop the Kylon without having to close up the portals. And if that's the case, that could really open possibilities to explore new worlds and maybe even peacefully settle other areas.
That is a good point. And one thing that many people do not realize is that the Kylon are already here, and they are multiplying. So it may be too late to shutting off the portals may do us no good there. So
Yep.
it is definitely interesting to hear that point of view from one of the members of the expedition. Uh, You were going to say something?
Regarding your thought about the fact that the Kylon are here, that thought had already crossed my mind. Another concern, not directly related to the Kylon, is some of the recent events that happened that resulted in my friend Devok being in the form that he is. He wasn't always a Sudaga, and of course, the Sudaga invasion is fresh on everyone's minds. And so far, all the research I've found about the Sudaga attack was that what enabled that to happen was, in fact, the seal that supposedly protected the world against the Kylon. So I'm not convinced that we're any safer by having the shield up. I mean, imagine if we had something like that again, where Devok's free will is taken from him and he's forced to be some thrall for what other next invincible being decides to come along, or it could take some other form. But there are definitely some potentially catastrophic side effects of the seal that could possibly doom us all, especially if we have no avenue of escape.
He's nodding and he says, "You make excellent points, young man. You seem to be well learned." Well then, before I do have some other issues to address with you as a group, but before we get to that point, do you have any questions for me? It sounds like there are no questions. All right then. Well, the next thing I will do then is I have to thank you for helping Elru. She informed me about a figure stalking around on the grounds. Like I said, the security is severely lacking. I will be having to deal with that most severely, perhaps. Anyway, she apparently interrogated this individual, and her methods apparently are quite effective. And I found out that it was an assassin. And I know, not only do I know who hired him, I know who the target is. Well, we'll start from the beginning. The the person who hired this individual goes by the name of Kragar. Apparently, much to my shame, he is connected with the Temple of Godrak. and the target was Hamila herself. And unfortunately, we're unable to figure out exactly why Hamila was targeted. As I'm sure you're aware, assassins usually know little outside of what they need to know to get the job done. Because if they are caught, if they know too much, then that obviously causes problems for their employer. So, I know that a few of you, Ire and Galen, who is unfortunately missing, are connected to the temple themselves, and I have good reason to believe that they are connected to Kragar. So, my the question I have for you as a group is, what do you know of Kragar and his assassination attempt on Hamila?
That sounds very odd. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I have no reason to doubt anything you're saying. Um, the odd thing is, based on everything that I've known of Galen and Iyer in particular, is that they are definitely more motivated by justice, and there are honorable qualities about them that do not seem compatible with assassination. So, to that end, I'd be surprised if they were knowingly associating with somebody who was trying to perform an assassination attempt. I mean, do you have any input on this, Galen? Oh no,
I'm
he's
not
still sick.
here.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's not here.
I'm sick.
Sorry, I
And
didn't
for
say
some
that.
reason, Ire isn't talking.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Iyer had his little quirky thing the other day or earlier in the night. Um,
The rest of us are not knowing too terribly much about their church at the moment.
I mean, yeah, we don't really, we're not members of that church, so we don't have any direct dealings. Um,
Well, it is possible. You would know better than I that Ire and Galen are unaware of this. So, to that end, I will inform you that Kragar will be under surveillance for the next few weeks. Very few people will know of this outside of yourselves. So, my suggestion is that within the next few weeks, that Galen or Ire should visit with Kragar and find out why he would hire assassins, why he would seek to have my granddaughter killed. And if you can find this out, then I would be willing to compensate you. However, be warned that he will be under surveillance and it will be very difficult to detect. And therefore, if you simply wish to warn him and have him flee, that will end in a death sentence. Okay, so that ends that. It is good to know that the majority of you, at least, don't seem to be directly involved. So, I have one last question for you, but before we get to that, I have been speaking a lot of you, so perhaps I should tell you something of myself. And what I'm about to tell you, not many people know. But since I am interrogating you, and it seems only fitting, and perhaps it will color your decisions. I he opens his mouth real wide, and you see that two of his teeth suddenly grow long, and then shrink. He says, "I am the one who founded House Valenstar 800 years ago. And I call Hamila my granddaughter, but in reality, she's really my great, 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 great. I've lost track of how many greats are involved. She is far down the family line. And so I have seen much of the world, and I have built this family from the ground up to the point where it is the most powerful family in the kingdom. So bear that in mind. Now, as far as the question, I, whenever I have guests, I tend to look a bit into their backgrounds. Just as a precaution. I like, to, you saw the confrontation earlier. Um, Things can get out of hand, so it is a good idea to know something about the people you are dealing with when you are hosting something such as this. And during that process, I discovered that a number of you were arrested recently. So I wanted to ask you what that was about.
Um,
Yeah, blame it on me.
um, can someone else talk? I'm ashamed.
Yeah, unfortunately, you are the only one who's there and coherent. Um, let's see. Hmm. Well, I don't have any firsthand information other than I can say that it is true, and my understanding was is that it was in a somewhat misguided pursuit for justice.
What he said.
Please elaborate.
Well, uh,
Well, certainly, as someone of your experience knows, it's very difficult to keep a city run completely free of crime. Um, as you yourself have commented at the beginning of this meeting, if there's security lapses can always happen. Um, and my understanding is that there's become quite the drug problem in this city.
yeah, it is
I see.
particularly hitting the church.
So you are suggesting that you were attempting to deal with a drug issue. What drug specifically?
I did not get to analyze a sample, but it is something called blue sand.
I see. And my understanding is there was a place called Kensing Carpentry somehow involved. Is that correct?
Kensington Carpentry, yes.
No, it was Kensing's, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yep. In fact, yeah, I recall hearing the guards bust that just the other day.
Yes, I see. Yes, that does correlate. There was there was a problem there with the guards, and yes, I remember reading that the owner of that business was arrested himself and charged with some sort of outstanding crime. It is very unfortunate. I see. So you are seekers of justice, as it were, or at least some of you are. Even if your methods may leave something to be desired on occasion. Is that my understanding? Or is my understanding correctly?
I believe that's my understanding. In fact, if I understand correctly, the issue was is that, well, as I'm sure you can imagine, drugs need to be moved in order to be sold, what have you. And well, this wagon came from Kensing's Carpentry, but it turns out that not everything that business did was illegal.
Yes, it is an easy mistake to make. You think that there's some shady business going on, so all business must be shady. Well, no matter. You live and learn. I don't hold it against you. It was, but it was something that I felt I needed to understand better if I am going to do any further business with you. I'm sure you understand.
And in seeking justice, one cannot simply try and run bullheaded in to go after the little guy. I mean, it's a distribution type of business, and since it was hitting the parishioners of the church very hard, the church was desperate to try and rid the streets of this blue sand. However, the best way to kill a snake, so to speak, is to be cutting its head off. So perhaps taking out the drug kingpins, the top leaders and echelon involved in this drug trade, might have been the most effective way to try and stop the flow of drugs into the church parishioners.
Perhaps. But sometimes direct measures are required, unfortunately.
Yes.
All right, then. Well, I think that concludes anything that I wish to discuss for the moment. However, I may be in contact with you in the future. If you happen to, if you happen to be to figure out what Kragar's motives are, um, it, I'll be willing to listen. So simply the guards out in the gate. Simply tell them you have a message for me, and you can either send it as a letter, but if you feel it's too sensitive for that, you can simply tell me that you have the information I'm seeking, and I will send you a formal invitation.
That sounds excellent, sir.
Excellent. Well, I do have others to meet with, so unless there are any further questions, I think we are done for the evening.
Let's
Thank you
see.
very much for being such a gracious host in your beautiful home.
Very good. And might I suggest that your friend Ire um, pay more attention to magical animals on his person? Have a good evening.
If I might ask, I guess thinking as far as trying to find out the reason for this assassination plot, um, what if?
Well, Kragar is. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
I was going to say, Kragar is. He is directly involved with the church, as you say.
Yes, he is a priest.
What if his motivation was, as we said, to cut the head of the snake?
Well, like
Who
I
would be
said,
in charge of the drug trade? Would it be some peasant?
he looks at you a
Or
little bit.
perhaps a noble?
He looks at you a little more carefully. What exactly are you suggesting?
We know the motivation of why the church would kill. We already know that it is because of this drug problem. What if, either correctly or incorrectly, the church is assuming or has reason to believe that nobles are involved with the drug trade?
So they believe nobles are involved, and that actually may be true. But why Himila?
That is still a good question. I guess more of the concern is that seeking justice is one thing. Um, Causing a great deal of unwarranted destabilization is another thing entirely. Um, I guess my concern is, what if we end up finding out things that are best left unknown?
He looks and he says, "Well, I would suggest that you find out what you can and you bring it to me. If beyond that, I will leave it to your discretion."
We can be very discreet if the occasion is warranted.
Anyway, unless there's anything further.
All right. I believe that concludes everything for the time being.
We
In
put
that
out
case,
our
the servant enters and he says, "Please escort our guests." And I believe that other than one more audience, I believe the party is wrapping up. So it might be best to escort them to the entrance hall, if you would be so kind. The the uh, the servant bows and he says, "Yes, my lord. Please, this way." And then he steps out.
And again, my most sincere thanks for giving us the pleasure and honor of attending this marvelous celebration.
You're welcome.
a truly wonderful evening.
And not one I'll soon forget.
That is great to hear. We only have the celebration once a year, so it is good to know that made such an impact. Unfortunately, we must cater and we must have events throughout the year, but none of them have quite the weight behind it that this one does. All right, so the servant steps out the door and beckons for you to follow. As you leave, and the servant closes the door behind you, you notice that Lady Valenstar is standing out in the hallway, as if she was waiting, and she asks the servant to come closer, and she whispers in his ear, and then the servant at that point leaves you behind. Um, and then she says, "A moment of your time, if you don't mind."
Of course.
"Oh, I see that you were speaking with my husband there. But I have a request of my own. I have reason to believe that you may know something that may be a benefit. More specifically, I would be interested in meeting the Master. I have reason to believe that he is linked to you. Well, specifically to Pico, is it? And perhaps the other one, the tall one, Ragu.
Yes, ma'am.
So, can you make such an arrangement for me?"
Um,
Well, surely we cannot promise anything at this exact moment, but we will put out our feelers and see what we might be able to do.
Say that again, Tyler.
Sorry. Well, I am sure that we cannot be promising anything at this exact moment, obviously, but we will put out words and see what we might be able to be arranging.
Very good. Once you can make the arrangements, simply have a letter dropped off in addressed to me, telling me that the meeting has been arranged and my people will get in contact. Then she bows and says, I'm sure you know the way out, if you will excuse me. And then she moves past you and starts heading out herself. All right, so what do you do?
I guess we'll work our way up the hallway.
Okay. Well, at this point in time, the party is winding down. So at this point, unless there's anything specific you want to do, we'll go ahead and end the party.
I'll go
All
ahead
right.
and
Okay.
if there is possible, I will be going ahead and if there is possible, grabbing a small plate of maybe hors d'oeuvres and some entree for Galen. Maybe he'll be feeling better and would like a snack.
Okay.
It's very good food.
Yep. You have no problem doing that. The guests are starting to thin out. There's only a few nobles here and there, but the servants are still serving food to whoever's left. All right. So what we're going to do now then is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the map for a background. And this is the point where you would take your long rest. So I'm going to go ahead and advance time. And whoever needs to level up, now would be the time to do that. And if you want to get help from other people here, feel free to ask. Unfortunately, Shane isn't going to be able to level up, so we'll have to contact him and have him do it between sessions, I guess. But everybody else can go ahead and get that done. All right.
And the next morning, before we officially start our training, I'm going to go to the library and and go see Ivala.
Okay. Okay, you go to the library, and she is there, and she says, um, "Well, I welcome so early, Pico. What do you need?"
Well, it turns out I have a very busy week ahead of me, so I have a bit of a favor to ask of you. Normally, I try to do my own research, as you know. Um, but I'm trying to find out about some of the events of was it 1317, basically when the Sudaga attacks occurred, and more specifically when they ended. Um, I have some questions that I know I had at the time, but never got satisfactory answers to that I was hoping you might be able to help me research. I'd do it myself, but I'm going to be so busy in training, I'm going to have no free time for the next week.
Okay. What are you trying to find out?
So, so my understanding was is that something about the seal seemed to enable Kashura the Vengeful to be essentially invulnerable. And whatever artifact was disabled to bring down the seal also made Kashura vulnerable. Um, so I wanted to find out any information about what made that possible. Um, yeah, how did the seal allow Kashura to rise to power, and why did disabling the seal weaken him? Um, Also, some of my research indicated that the timing of that was critical. That if the adventuring party responsible uh, activated it too soon, for instance, that it would allow Kashura to find other ways to protect himself, and that it would take, I think it was 200 years before they'd have another opportunity, which would be an eternity with an invasion like that. Um, so some of my concern about that is if it requires time to recharge, does that mean the seal could come back on its own, or does that indicate any sort of special properties about how this artifact worked? Um, and then I think my last question is, what happened to the artifact that powered the seal? Reports for the adventuring party seem to indicate that it was under an ancient city of Svartag Sten, but they also report that the area collapsed under a great pile of rubble uh, once they, completed their whatever their task was there. So, and as far as I understand, every research group that went there, including myself, can confirm that, well, that area is basically just a collapse, kind of a crater, if anything. So, is that artifact even still there? Is it Was it maybe really somewhere else all along? Um, are there potentially other equivalents of that thing that somebody might try to unearth? Um, Basically, just trying to understand, you know, if people want to try to restore the seal, what they might, um, these are kind of some of the questions that probably require answers. And yeah, just trying to understand more about what sealed the world and what might cause it to happen again.
All right, so she's kind of writing this stuff down, and she says, "All right, well, give me I guess a week, and I'll look into this and come back um, when that week's over." I guess you said you're going to be busy for a week, so I guess that works out. So once you're done with whatever you're busy with, just come back.
That would be perfect. And apologies for placing such a, big task in your lap. Uh, Under any normal circumstances, I would happily attempt to do the research myself. But yeah, due to circumstances, they're forcing us through an extremely accelerated training process over the next week. We're expected to put in twice the usual hours, so I'm not going to have any downtime.
Oh, jeez. What's the hurry?
I, I'm really not sure. I mean, as usual, I know we've always got missions, but yeah, for some reason, they just seem to be unusually determined to get us through it.
Perhaps, perhaps some new mission is on the horizon.
Yeah, hopefully, it's nothing horrible.
All right then. Well, I will look into this. So, yep. Once you're done with your week of in the coal mines, return and um, actually, it's probably worse than that. It's probably a week in the gold mines. But anyway, please return, and we'll see what we can do.
Well, thank you so very much. I will return as soon as I can, hopefully conscious.
All right. All right then. So yeah, at this point in time, you start your long rest. So Devok and Galen, I'm pretty sure you guys haven't leveled yet. So go ahead and do that. If you want any help from anybody else, just go ahead and ask. And the other three, if you guys haven't leveled yet, now would be the time to do that. Also, during that period, if you want to do any shopping or deal with any errands, we can do that.
Yeah, can the same morning that or Pico's doing that, Oreo would go with Toulouse. I'd want to know what contact it was that she picked up for potentially someone who can enchant armor.
Right. So you show up and you actually see a dwarf there with her, and this dwarf he seems to have gems attached to his locks of hair, and seems to be wearing some sort of thick overalls and is covered in soot. And she says, "Oh, you made it. I was expecting you. Well, given everything that's been happening, I thought you might really need this. So I got my own friend here. I managed to track him down. He's only in town for a couple of weeks, but I think he can do what you need. well, actually, you talk to him. Tell him what you want, and then he'll let you know what that will cost and everything.
Sweet. She doesn't share a name as an introduction at the very least.
Yeah. So his name is Kaznak.
Cool. Okay. So Ori will politely introduce herself as Oreo in front of Kaznak here and say thank you very much for the abrupt kind of favor here. But the intention really is to try and she points to her own armor. Like this stuff is really nice, but it would be even better to have it a bit more bolstered. And she's essentially asking for a potentially +2 boost to the armor, but more specifically, and this is the part that's crucial, she says, is that it doesn't require attunement. Because unfortunately, a lot of the things that I carry on me already required a lot of focus, and it would be very useful to have something that did not require that level of focus. I don't know how much more that would be in your
He's
care.
he's rubbing his chin, and he says, "Well, Missy, normally I'd charge you 6,000 silvers for a job like that, but I'm only here for a couple of weeks, and you're a good friend of a friend of mine, so I'm willing to cut that in half. I can get that done in about a week, for the cost of 3,000 silvers."
She is like bright eye, like deal. She is more than happy to do that. And in fact, because it's such I trust you so well, I can give you half up front if that would be of help.
Oh, of course, that would be excellent.
So she'll put 1,500 silvers along. It'll be a mix of like copper and probably plat, just because she's trying to figure out. But yeah, she'll put up a 1,500 up front.
Fair enough. So he takes it, and then says, "Well, I'll need the armor as well, of course."
Yes, that too. And she will give him the studded leather armor that she's got on.
He takes it. It's like, "Oh, this is pretty nice. This will take the enchant well."
Perfect. You are a real lifesaver here, so thank you very much. Should I meet you here or should I meet you elsewhere?
No, I'm staying here for the few weeks I'm here. I don't really have a proper shop in the city anymore, so I'm using some equipment in the back room here.
Ah, got it. All right, will do. Um, with that, that'll be the extent. Oh, actually, I will ask Toulouse one other thing. If she happens to have just plain, and I try to explain to the best of her ability because she doesn't know exactly what the official name for it is here, kind of like gauntlets or like forearm shields, sheaths that she can put her weapons or more specifically her daggers in, because and she explains that the intention is for her to be able to automatically pull a dagger from that sheath in the middle of combat. I don't know if she has anything on hand or if it takes time, but she would really, really appreciate having a pair of those.
All right. So, is it something where you basically store daggers on your arms, or is it something where they can pop out, or how does that work?
Yeah, so here I'll give it to you in an individual chat, just a quick image of what I mean. Think of like Assassin's Creed, kind of,
Yeah.
just for the purposes of giving you a sample. So I just gave it to you in Discord. So something that would retract from her forearm. Because the idea here, and I guess this I should just bring it up now because it might come in combat at some point in the future. She's taken dual wielder as a feat at
Okay.
level 8. And so part of that, the way that feat is described is that she could get a +1 AC of a bonus as long as she's got 2 weapons on hand. And so the idea would be that to kind of help always keep that +1 on her, she can automatically pull those daggers
I
in the
see.
middle of combat.
Sh
So
yeah. She listens, and it's like, well, I don't have anything like that on here. Something like that could probably be made, but it will be fairly expensive. Are you still
how much are we
interested?
talking? How much are we talking?
Probably 1,000 silver.
I can do that.
All right then. It will take Probably at least a week.
That's fine. No, that's amazing. So she'll because she trusts to lose that much, she'll just give her the money up front, the
Okay.
full money, so 1,000.
All right. So she takes it and says, "All right then. Well, we'll get started." So yeah, I guess you got a lot to pick up in a week. So hope you survive until then. You got training or
Yeah.
something, don't you?
Yeah. Should
What
be fine.
training?
I I hear they're training you pretty hard. So well, I hope I hope you come back and you still have fur.
Thanks for the imagery. All right, cool. I'll see you in a week. And she takes off.
All right, fair enough. All right. Anybody else doing any sort of shopping during that week?
Actually, it should be more than high time to find out what the iridescent armor does, and Galen's white Lumev military armor.
Yeah, I was hoping if I could
Yeah, we've been waiting
attune
for
to
those
that
for
or
a
whatever.
while.
Okay.
Yeah, it was after the Valenstar. Yeah.
Okay. So the white armor. Let me double check something here. Uh, okay. Yeah. So the white armor has an AC of 16, um, and it counts as it essentially counts as heavy armor in the sense that you don't get any dex bonus for it, but you also don't have disadvantage for stealth. So it's just a flat 16 AC. But the bigger advantage it has is that you are resistant to fire. Did you get that?
That's a nice bonus, Galen.
AC
Yeah,
16.
1 second. Let me go to my equipment so I can write this down. Can you just put it in chat for me?
Yeah.
Thank you. 16 resistant to fire. Okay, awesome. I'll put that on my equipment.
Oh yeah, and no stealth. Uh, no stealth hindrances.
Oh yeah. No stealth penalty. Counts as heavy armor.
Did I give it to you?
Yeah, you gave it to me, and I actually burned favors trying to get this stuff identified.
Okay, if you need me to give you any money or help you in any
Oh
way,
no,
I
it
can.
wasn't money. It was I did a good job, and so the guild said I will give you a favor, and one of the favors was
Oh,
identifying
okay.
us. So yeah,
Cool.
What was
So
the other one?
if it counts as heavy armor, does that mean it's gonna slow me down, or how does that
the
work?
If
reason
you're
it
not
counts as heavy
proficient in
armor.
it, it will slow you down. If you're proficient, then you're fine.
Oh, I
Oh,
thought it
wait a
was
second.
light armor.
Yeah, he can only wear light armor without the penalty of not
Hmm.
being able to
Oh,
cast
That's
fire.
unfortunate.
actually, I take that back because you're right in the sense that if it doesn't give you stealth penalty, then I guess yeah. Okay, so we'll change it so it counts as light armor, but does not give you dex bonus.
That's fine.
Which means that yeah, it's a flat 16. So if you have a high dex, that might actually be bad.
I
Whereas if
don't
you
have a high dex, which is
okay,
awesome. How do I make myself wear this? 1 second.
leather.
That might take a little bit of editing because I know Jeremy was able to, or he had to go in and fix a problem so that my armor class was accurate because it wasn't taking account of everything. So that might
Yeah,
take some editing.
how do I put it like on, if that makes sense?
How do you equip it?
Oh, what are you trying to do?
Oh, I can just mess around with it. I'm trying to like make it actually be worn in my Roll20 page, so it'll change my AC for me without having to do it like
Oh,
manually.
if you
Oh,
want, I can just add that to you between sessions if for you. If you
Okay, yeah, I'll just remember it for now, but
yeah, what you do is
thank
just
you.
go in your somewhere where you can leave a note, like in your equipment. Just jot
Yeah,
down all the information, and then between sessions, I can set it up for you.
yeah.
Anyway, as far as the iridescent armor, it also is light armor. Has an AC of 12 plus your Dex bonus, and you can choose um, you can choose a resistance whenever you take a short rest, or once per day. And what that means is that, or it's basically you can set what it's resistant to on that day, but you can change it the next day.
okay.
Hmm.
So, like, if I say fire today and tomorrow I decide acid, then they'll
Exactly.
be resistant.
So it can only be resistant to one thing at a time, but you can change what it's resistant to each day.
Okay.
So it's not as protective potentially as the military grade armor, but it's more flexible.
Okay.
Do you got that?
I do.
It should be in chat.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Well, that's even easier. Okay. All right.
And being light armor, it doesn't affect stealth and all that, of course, but just like any other light armor. Okay. So as far as Devok and Galen, how's your level up going?
Um, I did all my uh,
Go ahead.
I did all my health. I still can't add the slots, but that's fine. I'll just remember that I have 2 warlock slots and just use that accordingly with my warlock spells. If you guys have any ideas for the Eldritch invocations
Oh.
for me to take, I would
Oh.
love to hear any of that.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say
I'm
I could
also
help you a
having
little
some
bit with that.
problems with spells because I just have too many that I want to take, and I don't know.
So what level of warlock are you?
I'm currently level 3, which means I get second level spell slots, and I believe I have 2 of them.
Okay. So I
These are the
switched
But
your
every
warlock's
short rest.
level to 3. So does that help?
let me see if it changed the thingies in the spell. It doesn't actually change my spell slots because I already did that. I'll just remember it. I'll like put it in my notes how many warlock spell slots I have.
Yeah, because I think because what's on the sheet, I think is for more like normal spell
Yeah,
casting. The
it's like
warlock
for
ones are kind
actual.
of different.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
in that case, we
They.
can do warlock,
Yeah. Because
warlock
he's only ever gonna get 2 of
slots,
them.
Oh,
and
if I
two
have
out of two.
warlock slots, we'll just move the I'll just move all my warlock spells over to
So
there.
if you look on your spells, where you had Path of Shadows, next to it I added warlock slots, 2 out of 2. How does that?
Path of Shadows.
You see it right next to it? I just now added it
1 second.
under spells.
Yeah, I'm in there. I think maybe I just have to restart the
Refresh.
thingy. Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that again.
Anyway, yeah, you should see 2 out of 2 warlock slots next to Path of Shadows, so you can just use that. And
They
if you
come
still
back
don't
under
see it, you
sorcery.
can add it yourself. Just in that box that's empty, just type in warlocks. Click in the empty spot, type warlock slots. In the numbers, type 2 out of 2. Um,
hmm
it's under spells. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't see it. That's really weird.
that's fine. You could, like I said, you could type it in yourself.
Okay.
But you can keep track of it there, and that way you don't have to have another slot somewhere.
That would be awesome. I'll just put it in as my like 4th level for right now.
All right, and you were asking for help, so I'll leave that to Tyler. He sounds like he had ideas.
Okay, you're level 3. First things first, have you picked a packed boon yet? If not, I can give you guidance to let you pick.
Um, okay. 1 second. Sorry, Jeremy, after the session, maybe, can you just help me set this up? I'm having trouble with it.
Okay.
Alright, sorry, Tyler, what were you saying?
Have you picked a pack boon?
A packed boon.
Yeah, at level 3 you'll get a
Oh
pack
yeah, at
boon.
level
It's
3
worth
I get
3.
that.
Yeah.
No. No, I have not.
Alright. Well, Galen, you are reasonably pacifistic from what I can tell of playing with you so far, and you want to be able
Yeah.
to heal people, but you're not overly worried about doing damage in battle, right?
No, well, I only like to fight if I, like, have to.
Alright. I'm thinking the Pact of the Blade is not going to be what you want.
Yeah, I don't want a weapon. I don't like weapons.
Yeah. Well, you've got 2 more possibilities here. One is Pact of the Chain, which
Uh-huh.
can give you an awesome familiar, and your awesome familiar would actually be able to attack if you sacrifice your attack for it to take its attack, and it would be able to cast spells at distance that would be touch spells. Um, well, basically, you'd be getting like an imp, a pseudo dragon, a quasit, or a sprite, but they're like the fancy familiars. They're a little more powerful, higher armor, more hit points, can actually do different things. And that can be a very big benefit if you want to be able to use your familiar as kind of like a drone or an extension of yourself. The other one is the Pact of the Tome. Now, the Pact of the Tome is going to automatically give you 3 more cantrips from any class. They don't have to be the same class. They don't have to be Warlock class. You basically pick 3 cantrips out of all possible available cantrips.
I, actually, I just read
And
one that sounds interesting. Thank you, though. I think I might want the Pact of the Talisman, because I'm part of the church. I could make my holy
oh,
symbol my talisman.
Jeremy, will you allow that? Pact of the
Would that be
Talisman
okay?
is Tasha's Cauldron.
Oh, okay, my bad. I'm sorry. I can pick something else then.
Yeah. For
Yeah,
now,
no, you're yeah.
we're still sticking with the
Yeah,
original rules.
sorry, I'm on the wrong site, I think, then, because it just kind of listed that.
No, I don't think
If
so.
you're
I
on
mean, like
D&D
different.
Beyond, you can pick by specific source material. Because yeah, you can go to on D&D Beyond. There's a sources tab near the top, and then you can pick Player's Handbook, and that'll give you what's originally in the Player's Handbook.
Uh,
And if you have access to it, you could also click Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and then that'll show you the updates that are in there, because the items in there are allowed too. Let's see. In fact, looking at Xanathar's right now, it looks like they added the Celestial and the
Yeah, he's a
Hex.
celestial. Yeah,
Okay,
he's a
yeah.
celestial warlock already.
Okay.
hmm
Okay, yeah, it's the packed stuff, which, let's see, where's.
So, Galen, the
Yes.
campaign is limited to level 6 spells. So,
hmm
since you can never get level 7, 8, or 9, what I did is I told it that you had 2 level 7 slots.
Oh, I
Obviously,
see that. Okay.
obviously you don't actually have level 7 slots. This is your
hmm
warlock slots. Will that work?
Okay, that works perfectly.
All right.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, when you first became a warlock, what 2
hmm
warlock cantrips did you pick? Was one of
Uh,
those
let me
Eldritch
pull
Blast?
that up. I got Sacred Flame.
Yeah, Sacred Flame and Light automatically came with the Celestial Warlock.
Oh, okay. Then I
One
think
of
I
the other
took
2 that you
Friends and Thunderclap.
the Friends and Thunder. Okay, so you didn't take an Eldritch Blast?
No,
Alright,
I wasn't that interested in it because I have other
no problem.
good attack cantrips. I didn't realize there were so many benefits to it.
Yeah, it looks like your packs that are available are Pact of the Chain, Pact of the Blade, and Pact of the Tome.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I just said, and he's not going to want to pack the blade. The
No,
Pact
I
of the
don't.
Chain gives him an awesome familiar pet, and the Pact of the Tome gives him more spells and some interesting uh, Eldritch evocations to choose from.
Some interesting invocations to choose from. Oh, okay.
In the
Hmm.
meantime, Davak, how's your level up going?
All right. I'm just looking at what exactly I have to change, but
Okay.
it's not a ton.
Because originally one of my suggestions for you was going to be Armor of Shadows, but with your new Lumev military armor, you definitely don't need that.
Hmm.
One of the
Oh, because
things
that
you
one
might
lets me
like
cast the mage armor on myself.
at will without expending a
Oh,
spell
that's
slot, yeah,
so
that's the
nice.
bonus.
Hmm.
Yeah, but there's a couple other good ones in there. I'm not 100% sure how well you're thinking about it, but Devil Sight, you can't see in the dark, can you?
Oh, yeah, I can't. We'll call it angel sight.
All right, but that's one possibility.
Yeah.
Another one is having Eyes of the Runekeeper. I thought you might like. You were one of the two people that went through trying to learn the Lumev language, right?
Oh, that lets me read any language. Oh, I'm definitely taking that. I
Yeah,
get
that's
two,
that's
so I
absolutely
think
any language.
I think the dark vision and the and that one would be two good ones for me to take.
Yeah. Now remember, Devil Sight isn't actually dark vision. There's a difference.
Yeah, it's
All
like
of us with dark
magical
vision,
vision.
well, yeah, because all of us with dark vision, when it's dark, we see in shades of gray. You see in true color. And
Mm.
also, you automatically see through magical darkness where we can't.
Okay. Yeah, I think I like those two things. Do either of those require something?
They require nothing. You can get those at level 2 when you get your
That's
first two
not
Eldritch
true. They require you to
evocations.
be a warlock.
Okay, thank
Well,
you,
yeah, they
Dave.
do.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I thought I'll probably take the 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 familiar pact. I want to have a
You want
friend,
to
and I will name
pack to
him
the chain?
Gregory.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now, I don't want to. Well, no, never mind. I don't know if I should say anything.
you can. I don't have to.
All right.
You can just
I was
tell
gonna
me.
say I
It's
don't want
okay.
to. I don't necessarily want to talk for Jeremy, but I don't know if it would be very much of a problem. Like you want to pack to the chain familiar. Well,
Hmm.
two of those familiars are actually demons. But if you say like the imp, which is a little humanoid with wings demon, maybe Jeremy would be nice enough to reskin him as an angel with all the same game mechanic stats, just so it, thematically plays with your character.
Yeah, I don't
But
have any
Jeremy,
problem with
you'd
that.
have to say yes or no with that. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's
Okay.
that's a
I don't mean to
want to
interrupt.
talk for you, Jeremy, but
Sorry.
that was an idea.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that. If it's mechanically the same and you're just reskinning it, I'm cool with that.
I don't mean to
Go
interrupt,
ahead.
but I kind of have to leave.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
Oh, you're leaving
yeah,
now?
yeah, I kind of have to.
Okay, no problem. In that case, I will talk to you later.
Yeah. I'll have a good night, guys.
Bye bye.
See
See you
ya.
later, man.
Okay, well that sounds great. Thank you, Tyler. I'll take both of those.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if yeah, I didn't really want to talk for Jeremy, but I didn't see why there would be a problem doing that kind of thing just for thematics. Um,
We'll just call him like a cherub or something.
okay, yeah, like a little cherub or an angel. Now,
Yeah.
there is one other thing here, or actually
Mm.
two.
Yeah, what's up?
Um, now that you've chosen Pact of the Chain, you
Hmm.
might want to rethink some of your Eldritch evocations.
Oh, okay.
There is one evocation called Voice of the Chainmaster,
Uh-huh.
and the prerequisite for that is the Pact of the Chain feature.
Uh-huh.
And you can communicate telepathically with your familiar and perceive through your familiar senses as long
Hmm.
as you're on the same plane of existence. No 100-foot range. If you're on the same plane of existence, you can see at any distance.
That's
Additionally,
kind of
while
cool.
perceiving through your familiar senses, you can speak through your familiar in your own voice, even if your familiar can't normally talk.
That's
Since,
kind of
say,
cool.
your imp cherub does have common, he can actually talk, but you'd be able to see through their eyes as long as they're on the same plane of existence, not 100 foot. And then the other one that you might want to think about is I'm bringing it up here. Investment of the Chainmaster.
Oh.
Again, it's the Pact of the Chain feature. Uh, when you cast Find Familiar, you use the Summon Familiar with a measure of your Eldritch power, granting him the following benefits. Your familiar gains either a flying speed or a swimming speed, your choice, of 40 feet. As a bonus action, you can command the familiar to take the attack action, so your
Huh.
bonus action makes him attack. And if you don't have anything else to do with your bonus action, that's not a bad option. The familiar's weapon attacks are considered magical for the purposes of overcoming immunity and resistance to non-magical attacks. So your familiar's little stinger attack, or maybe a little holy sword, or whatever it might turn into, would count as magical.
Hmm.
And if the familiar forces a creature to make a saving throw, it uses your spell save DC. Now, if you look at the imp, if that's the one you're going with, unless you want to go for a quasit or a pseudo dragon, or even the
Oh.
sprite, I don't know.
Oh what? Oh what? Oh what? What's a snow dragon?
A pseudo
Pseudo
dragon.
dragon.
Pseudo dragon?
Yeah.
I can have a little dragon.
Yeah. Oh, hold on a second. Can we bring that up? Are you on D&D Beyond, or where are you at here?
I was on something else. I can pull that up right now.
Okay, because I can try and send you these. Unless can you do that faster?
Is
Send the
that
imp, pseudo
dragon
dragon,
actually part of
quasit, or sprite.
the default rules?
Yes, it is.
If you don't want it though, Jeremy, I can totally grab something else. I do
Oh, I
not
don't have
mind.
anything specific against it. I'm just making sure that we're being consistent.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
is.
One thing to keep in mind, though, if you're taking a familiar and reskinning it, is that we might have to make appropriate tweaks, like maybe it doesn't know infernal, maybe it knows a more
Yeah,
appropriate language, that kind of thing.
of course, of
Okay.
course. So
The pseudo
what's
dragon's a
yeah?
little different. Pseudo dragon is basically a little tiny red dragon. Um, Now he can understand Common and Draconic, but he can't talk. But he can understand them, and he's intelligent. And then
Mm,
he has a little stinger on the end of his tail.
hmm.
But the stinger at the end of his tail requires the target to make a DC 11 Constitution
Yeah,
saving
I see
throw.
that.
But if you take that investment of the Chainmaster, that DC 11 Constitution saving throw becomes a DC your spell level, whatever your spell save is.
If you're curious, here's the player's handbook, and this is where it lists where the Pact of the Chain does that.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, looking at the dragon, it doesn't look like you actually have to reskin that. I mean, a
Oh
dragon
yeah,
isn't
no,
inherently evil or anything, so.
Yeah,
yeah, no. Yeah, a little dragon pet is, yeah, not reskinned at all. I
and
just
then what?
didn't know if you wanted to pick a quasit or an imp.
I don't know what a quasit is either. Let me pull that
It's a
up.
little demon, sort of like an imp.
What's the
They're both little
difference?
demons. Um,
Just you don't have to
one's
give me
got
the
big
full
horns,
breakdown,
and
but like,
there's very little difference. But in D&D, they make a very big deal about the difference between demons and devils, like
oh
they're two
yes,
different
okay.
species. And
Uh-huh.
so the big difference is a quasit and an imp are equivalent, but one is a demon, lawful evil, the other's a devil, chaotic evil. So when they have their demons and devils fighting for whatever lore they have equivalencies. So it just depends whether you're chaotic or lawful for the devil or the demon. But they're basically the same thing. They're very very similar stats, um, but they're both demons.
Hmm.
And then the only other one is a sprite, and that's a little fey creature. Imagine having Tinkerbell.
Oh, well, I kind of have to pick that one. That's too cute.
Okay.
Let me look up its stats to make sure it's actually
Oh
what I
yeah, I was gonna
want.
say, Dave, do you want to throw up sprite stats?
Neutral good. That actually fits you just fine.
Yeah, that would actually fit with no reskinning.
Okay, yeah, and you can make them put them dress them however you want, be a little boy, little girl, whatever. little dragon or fly wings, and yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. I kind of like that.
Then don't forget, Galen, that you're going up 2 levels.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
that's what
took
gave him
that
his
into
third
account.
level of Warlock.
Hmm. All right, I think I like this sprite. I think I'll take the sprite.
I was gonna say the sprite has heart sight. I think that kind of
Yeah,
falls right in line with your
yeah, exactly. I was looking
personality.
at that in particular because that's good for my charisma checks, so I can like accurately talk to people.
Yeah. Well, also, if the target fails a DC 10 Charisma saving throw, and if you take that investment to the Chainmaster, that DC 10 Charisma saving throw would actually become a DC your spell save.
All right, sounds like I'll take
So whatever
sprite.
yours is,
I think I'll take the sprite, the investment one, and then the one that lets me read languages.
Eyes of the Runekeeper.
Yeah, unless Jeremy, do you not want me to take the language reading one for like lore reasons?
Well, what I would probably say is that in Maven, sorry, not Maven, but in your world, it would work exactly as advertised. You can read any language you find.
Hmm.
And Lumev, um, it may not work perfectly. It's one of those, the
Yeah.
spell is programmed with a certain set of languages, with
Hmm.
certain basically language families, I would say. But when you're talking about having a different language that doesn't have the same root than any sort of universal translator type of magic,
Hmm.
isn't going to automatically work.
Well, there are a
Sure.
couple
Would it at least
problems
help
there
me
because
understanding those languages though?
one, it's not actually a spell, and the other is it's being granted by essentially a deity or something, so it doesn't quite have the same mage
Parameters as a
rules.
spell.
Although there's
So that's
probably
probably
different
going to affect
deities in
things.
Lumev because it's a different planet.
Yeah, so what I would say is that it would probably grant you partial knowledge in Lumev, but complete
Awesome.
knowledge in your own world.
Okay, perfect. That's good enough for me. All right. Let me throw this in then.
I'm assuming you got the mechanical stuff out of the way. I don't remember if you guys actually go up a proficiency level or not, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Oh no,
didn't
our
go up a
next level.
proficiency, but I dealt with my health.
Yeah,
Okay.
level 9 will be our next
Okay.
proficiency bonus.
Fair enough. You're definitely a lot healthier. You're
Yeah,
undergoing a long rest, so during a long rest, you gain back all your hit points, so you can set your current to maximum as well,
awesome.
and you gain back all your hit dice, etc., etc.
Okay. Now, just so you know, there are other oddball Eldritch evocations out there that you can take if you want to do something different. Like there's one called Mask of Many Faces, and you basically disguise yourself at will all the time, whenever you want, without spell slots.
Doesn't
That's
really
another
sound
one
like
of
my
your.
character though. I kind of
Okay.
like the ones we got going on right now.
All right. It's just yeah, there are a few others out there that have no level restrictions or anything, and didn't know if you wanted to think about those. But if you like the ones you got, then cool, cool. I didn't know if you were actually going to go up to level 3 Warlock or just take like 2 levels of it to get your replaceable spell slots and then go back to
No, I thought
Sorcerer. I
three
don't
was
know.
going to be worth it. I probably won't take past three, but three is worth it just to get up to the second level base slot and also get this pack boon thingy.
Oh, okay.
But after that, I'm probably just going to switch back to Sorcerer. It was just like a slight multi-class type deal.
Not a
All right.
problem. Well, yeah, and that'll give you 2 second level spell slots, so you can change
Yeah, it
those
was
into
definitely
sorcery
worth it.
points and back and forth. Yeah. All
All
right.
right. So does that finish up your leveling, or do you still have more work to do?
I'm just like copying, pasting text and stuff, and I'll need help with the familiar at some point because I've never dealt with that on Roll20, but I think it should be fine.
You chose the sprite, right?
Yes, I did. I like
So
that
what
whole
I'll
thing.
have to do then is I'll have to make an icon for you that you can use, kind of like with Char. And you make sure to read the spell because it does cost money to get the ingredients, and the ingredients are rare, and you can't just find or make them. Which means that your familiar dies and you have to use up more ingredients. So if you're not
Yeah.
prepared, you can find yourself in a situation such as an expedition where you have no ingredients and thus you have no familiar.
Yeah,
Okay, and
I
that's under
found
the
that out the
Find
hard way
Familiar
on our
spell.
first
Yeah.
expedition.
Okay, let me just pull that up in the
Yeah,
thingy.
it's 10 gold pieces worth of incense and charcoal.
That's not too bad. Okay.
So every time you have to resummon your familiar, because it died, it's 10 gold pieces. I learned that the hard way on our first expedition to Lumev. So I've got like nine, um, 9 uses worth of incense that I carry around.
Yeah, because he actually went through that where he didn't have any more left and his familiar was gone. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up.
Okay, I'll probably, before we head out on our next thing, buy some of those stuff, maybe like one or two charges, and I'll write that
Okay.
down.
Yeah, and that's just 10 gold apiece, or
That's
10
not too
gold per
bad.
charge.
Oh, by the way, you no longer have the blue sand on your possession.
Okay, good. I'll take that out.
So you can just
Yeah,
delete
you
that
guys
whole line.
got rid of it all.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys got rid of it all at the cart that you stole. I was hoping to get one sample so that Risiri could
That's too
analyze it
chaotic, and
because
yeah, you weren't there to ask. So there you go.
yeah, that's true. But I wanted to, do my alchemy analyzing of the blue sand material. But yeah, we don't have any left.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Sorry, man. Chaos ensues. What can I say?
All right. So while you finish that up, the week passes, and
I'm not done yet.
oh, go ahead.
I was helping him because he came up with the way that he was doing his warlock stuff. But
Yeah,
I
I
still
know.
need to go talk to Gimbal, do all that learning.
So the week passes, but before we move on to what you do during your on the 13th, I basically was going to ask everybody if you crammed your training for 2 weeks, and in or sorry 2 weeks in one, yeah. And so what sort of misadventures or interesting events that happened to you while you were training? And well, Devok's not here, so we'll start with Pico.
I'm not really in a position to think of that right now.
Okay,
You're muted, dude.
Galen.
Um, Misadventures. I guess while I was training and then also talking with my patron, Angel, I was bugging the patron Angel too much with ideas and stuff, or trying to get training, so he sent down my familiar, Gregory the Sprite, and I've been dealing with him, and I bought some, materials for that. I don't know if there was anything particular in the training that really would have been crazy for me, just a lot of hard work.
Okay. Well, you got Gregory now. All right.
Yay!
Oreo. How about you?
I don't. I mean, she'd just probably be very tired every day because she's working really, really hard to get that feat at level 8, which, again, dual wielder, so she's just super exhausted, barely talks, but getting the work done. No misadventures.
All right.
Mhm.
Ayers, basically, he goes through his training in a very robotic fashion and says nothing. And Ragu.
Well, since we're doing this intensive training, and we were put together as kind of a team for the Nexus Guild, I'm going to imagine that some of our training was combat training together as a team.
Mm.
That's fair.
Because I took my 2 levels to take the opportunity to swap out 2 of my combat maneuvers for 2 new combat maneuvers. And so now, when we're in battle, as long as you are, within 30 feet and can either see or hear me, Ragu's big, loud, booming voice. Um, I can now order you guys to move on my turn, not your turn. So I can actually have extra movement for my party members on my turn, and I can command my party members to attack on my turn, giving them essentially an extra attack and me an attack from one of my party members, and being a battlefield commander or tactical commander in combat for the team.
Cool.
And as we were doing that, I was doubling down on the parkour, remembering that fight in the alley. That should not have gone that way at all. Ugh, working doubly hard to become a much tougher, better, stronger fighter.
Sounds sounds good.
So I now have my fifth level extra attack because I took both in fighter, and my feat for fighter was tough, so I'm tougher now.
Cool. All right, Pico.
All right. Well, while I was going through my training, there was this awkward situation where I was so exhausted that I had fallen asleep and came to, and they were giving me my last rites. Uh, Apparently, I was so exhausted, I fell asleep with my eyes open. And when they checked on me, they felt that I was cold and didn't realize that that's a natural thing for me. They said they checked for a heartbeat and didn't find one, so they had assumed I had died.
Alrighty then.
So they had called in called in a priest, and as he was doing his thing, I finally woke up. Oh yeah, and they didn't see my chest moving either. And it was a very awkward time, and I had to convince them that I was not an undead creature.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. All right, and yeah, and that you're definitely going to have rumors of that going around, and definitely hear the occasional whisper, that maybe you really are an undead creature.
Do you
Alrighty.
not have a heartbeat, Pico?
I do,
No,
but it's only once a minute. So the
What?
thing is, if you're checking for one, depending on your timing, you may miss it.
That's insane.
and if
Wait,
you
is that
only
is
catch
that just
one
the
beat,
is that the Tabaxi thing?
No, it's a sorcerer thing. I think I
Oh,
went with a shadow magic sorcerer,
uh-huh.
and there was this. They had this list of options you could pick that kind of made you a little bit creepy. They had six options. I decided to take five out of the six. So one of them is you're always icy cold at the touch.
Yeah.
When you're asleep, you don't appear to breathe, although you still have to breathe to survive. You barely bleed, even when badly injured. Your heart beats once per minute. This event sometimes surprises you. And you blinked once last week.
Oh God. Okay, that's awesome.
So, so yeah, there's definitely some uncanny valley stuff going on there.
That's
And
fun.
it seemed like a good time to really manifest that.
Yep, that works. Alrighty, so that concludes the training, and so before you guys spend your day going to Gimbal and going dealing with your research and whatever else you guys are going to do.
uh,
Um,
I,
mo-
I did want to try one more shopping thing, but I think that's going to be with Gimbal as well. So
okay. What I was going to suggest is that you guys, number one, fill Galen in on stuff that happened at the party from your point of view, and two, discuss whatever you learned and what you want to do about it.
I have a question. What did you do at first? What did you do at Gimbals, if anything?
at Gimbals, I want to cram in as much training as possible for my new um, scavenging MacGyver type maneuver. I don't know what it does yet, so yeah, that thing. And I also wanted to see about kind of like what you did with your claws, maybe trying to improve armor.
What about the iridescent armor?
That's actually going to have a lower AC than the
Okay, I missed that.
bronze armor that I have. If somebody else wants the iridescent armor, I'm seriously just holding it because I had it identified. It's an AC of 12, and it can change resistances once per day.
Well, specifically, it's an AC of 12 plus your Dex bonus because it's light armor.
Yeah, yeah. But my molten bronze skin was a 13 plus my Dex bonus, which actually upped my AC. And since I have too many attunement things anyway, I gotta try and
Yeah, and you got that fairly recently anyway, so it makes sense for it not to be superseded yet.
yeah.
What's the
Not
iridescent
only
armor
that, I
made
really
out
kind
of?
of like the. It's iridescent armor. It looks kind of colorful, mirrory, kind of like our weapons do. It looks like it's made out of the same multi rainbow hued material.
It'd be kind of like having a shiny metal, but it has an iridescent effect on it as well, kind of like soap bubbles. All right. So anyway, so you guys wanted to have your discussion, or did you want to do your gimbal and research stuff first?
Anybody else preferences?
Well, I did want to sit everybody down, although as it inadvertently turned out, the Lord Valenstar meeting kind of covered a fair bit of it. But um,
Well, I think the other thing that's for you guys to do is just make sure to fill in Galen on what he missed, and as well as your discussion.
um, oh yeah, I guess there is that. Um,
So yeah, you guys can just go ahead and do that now, and then we can do everything else after that.
well, one question I have for everybody is how do they feel about the prospect of the seal possibly being brought back up? My concerns, I mentioned some of them in the meeting with Lord Valenstar, but yeah, my view on it is that if that seal goes back up, well, as Lord Valenstar himself pointed out, Kylon are already here, so closing the seal doesn't necessarily solve anything. Um, and yeah, sorry, got distracted by something there. Um, So yeah, closing the seal doesn't necessarily solve anything. Furthermore, if the whole situation with the Sudaga attack and sure the Vengeful's any indication, the shield could actually cause some problems that could if the same thing happened again, that could cost Devaka's free will. And even if it was something different, who knows what the next supervillain might do to take advantage of that situation. Um, Galen, for you and for you, Ire, um, there's an issue that sealing off the portal could potentially strand you permanently from home. Furthermore, potentially doom any survivors of your race. No
Y-
chance of saving them from whatever stasis sort of issues or any future problems that might come along. And then, of course, we also have the issue that from what we've seen, there does seem to be some way to stop the Kylon. So if the seal goes back up, we'll never have access to that. So we have the problems that could. So if the Kylon do manage to get a foothold in this world, the way to stop them may no longer be accessible. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I
I agree
completely agree with
completely.
that. I also oppose the seal, like you said, for some personal reasons, due to like I would really like to reconnect with the history of my people. But yeah, it just doesn't seem logical. Like you said, there's a lot of things that it would restrict rather than help us with.
Now, the unfortunate part that you missed since you weren't at the party was you remember
Mhm.
Jared that we helped in the caves way back?
But yeah, of course.
It turns out his that group he was working with called the Restorers.
Hmm.
It's actually Restorers of the Seal. We met his somebody claiming to be his brother, and he seems legit. And it sounds like Jared actually wants to restore the seal. So while he
So,
seems to have pure motives, I mean, as far as
he,
dealing with the Great Cult, the whole seal thing
even
could be a big problem.
yes,
You.
even though he is a nice guy and a friend of ours, he might not be doing the right thing the right way. So we might have to be careful with dealing with him. Not to hurt his feelings, but not to let him accomplish his goals either.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's weird.
Yeah, we found that out
Pico
at the.
and Ragu. Actually, real quick, can I have you guys make a history check for me, just to see if you remember a little factoid that you might find interesting.
Okay.
Geez, you're not going to bet any money on that, but let's see.
Advantage, normal.
Just normal. All right. It's hazy, but you seem to remember when you were dealing with remember the Tabaxi delegation, the fake Tabaxi delegation, and
Mm-hmm.
you had looked at some of their documents. Um, you then they were working with another group, and you saw House Largai as on one of those documents.
Hmm. Do we still have those documents?
I'm checking now. I believe I do. Yep, I have his scrolls, and yeah, I have all of the scrolls and his ruby key. We still don't know what that ruby key goes to,
Oh, okay.
but
Well,
yeah, I have
in
all those
that case, yeah,
scrolls.
if you go through it, yeah, you'll see that there seems to be a faction within House Lagai that was working with the Sword of Justice.
Hmm.
Here you go, Dave. These are the scrolls I have.
Hmm.
Let's see what
Anyway, I'll
House
return it
Largai.
to you guys for your discussion.
And Largai is one of the people we met today, or at the
Yes, he was one of the Lord Lagai's was that was the one that you said was supposedly Jared's brother. But Jared would also be a
Oh.
House Lagai.
Well, as far as I can tell, I mean, given that the Sword of Justice is doing stuff with the Kylon, that doesn't sound like something Jared would be on board with. So, what are the odds that it's the other
well,
guy,
House yeah House Largai
Grinstead?
yeah House Largai is obviously split, and this House Largai from here, not necessarily the Jared, but from this scroll, that House Largai are the people who obviously do want to shut down our expedition, and in fact wanted to stop our entire team. But whether this was Jared's doing or his brother's doing,
Is a real mystery.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of complications in there that we'll have to figure it
yeah, so
out.
we cannot automatically assume that Jared is the bad guy, but we're going to have to keep a very close eye on both of them to make sure neither one are able to close the seals. But we are already doing a favor for Jared trying to track down the Grey Cult lady, which we'll be doing reasonably soon.
And if I understand correctly, now Jared is trying to work against the Grey Cult, which already thinks that the end times has started, something along those lines.
Yes, do we have more information on the Grey Cult? Is it one of those death cults that have been trying to make the world end for a while, or
Yeah, you
are they a
guys.
cult that
That's basically what you guys found out, that they're a death cult who believe that the world's going to end and get remade, and those who cause the end of the world will be elevated, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, they're a Kool-Aid cult.
And yeah, you found Jared when they were trying to infiltrate the Grey Cult, and you were told he asked you to follow someone around because who he says is connected to the cult, to figure out how she's connected and what, and maybe dig deeper into the cult. And from what you can tell with your insight, he was legitimately he seemed to legitimately want to destroy the Grey Cult, or at least keep them from operating in Mavin.
yeah, yeah, we did definitely believe him on that. He seemed sincere. Just his end motivations are apparently to be a little bit just just verified, shall we say?
Well, and if that second scroll came from Sovetian House Largai, um, the question is that so we have time while you're looking for that. Okay. We may have to talk to Jared next time we see him and try and, at the very least, get some understanding of the rift between him and the rest of the house.
Yeah.
Anyway, was there anything else you wanted to fill in Joel about as far as the party goes?
Uh, yeah,
Okay,
there's
what
something
other
I
stuff
want you to
happened
fill
there?
me in about. Shane had told me a little bit because I was asking him what happened after the session last time. But apparently, our friend, you were talking about it a little bit in the meeting, but my friend at the church is apparently a suspect in
Rhaegar?
something. Yeah, what happened there? He seemed like such a good guy. Shane told me he seemed like off his rockers, and then we had to check on him or something.
Suppose.
Well,
Wait, Shane
we
said
don't
that?
really know.
Man, that's ironic given what Ire did last night or
Oh, what
at
did
the
he?
party.
What did he do?
Oreo made the mistake of scaring him, and boy, she rolled like a natural 40.
Oh Lord.
He ran out of this little secure alcove yelling about ghosts and stuff like that.
Yeah, he literally
And
left the party.
at
Oh
the
boy.
big dinner, um, Lord Valenstar had asked, asked everybody what the most interesting thing was that happened to them that day.
Oh no.
And Iyer had talked about he was talking with his horse, and like his horse wanted apples, but they were out of apples, and that was
Yeah, it
pretty
was.
much it.
Yeah, all of it seemed very much like a short-circuiting ire.
That's awesome.
Like
He
his
did not
AI
tell
was
me that.
shutting
He
down
tactfully
slowly.
avoided that part.
Yeah, we all believe ire needs
A
like
tune-up
a
maybe?
tune-up. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Take him in for some maintenance. Maybe
Hmm.
change out his oil, something. But yeah, he was starting to. His AI was starting to break down.
That's
Stopped by the
funny.
Automata Cave and put him on a lift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Um,
anyway, but
as
yeah,
far as the Krigor thing, The rest of the party doesn't actually know that much
Mm.
because, like you and I didn't really share your notes from the church, so we don't know really much about your church. So we were hoping you could fill us in more.
Well, yeah,
So,
I can definitely do that.
well, to that end, are you aware of Kragar being interested in any assassination attempt? Because apparently he wants to kill Hamila Valenstar, and as far as I know,
That's
he didn't ask you to do that.
that's insane. He did not ask us to do that, and here's where I think this might be coming from. I can fill you in. So, Kragar has a thing against this blue sand due to some like deep
Yeah,
personal
that's
issues. Some
that's what
like,
I'd surmised at the end of our meeting that the church doesn't like the blue sand. They found out that Valenstar is one of the three distributors, so they were going to assassinate her, have her head
well,
off the stake.
it's not even just the church because the church was doing stuff, but Kragar decided that the church was not doing enough to stop it, which is why Ire and I were called in. It's very personal to him, like I
I was
said.
going to say,
So
why did he think the church wasn't doing enough to stop it? Did he have a kid that got addicted to blue sand and died or something? Or
no,
is there a backstory here?
he kept seeing people come in and he used to be one of the blue sand addicts before the church saved him. Obviously, that's not my story to tell, so don't go telling other people, but that's fine for you guys
Okay,
to know.
no problem. We are
Yeah.
very discreet. We won't tell other
Yeah,
people about.
yeah. Don't go ratting on him without his permission. But yeah, so he obviously has some very intense trauma regarding that substance in particular. So he really wanted us to clean it up, and that's what we were doing. And we did report back to him and the church with our findings and with our suspicions that there would be nobles involved. It's possible he took that suspicion and then just went like absolutely off the wall and just decided to kill someone, but he seems fairly put together. I don't really know if that's something he would do. I should probably talk to him and see what's going on, but
Do you think we
yeah,
could be
I don't
looking at a
know.
frame job then?
Okay. I think it's possible, and here's why. He's coming after this blue sand with such ferocity that the people who like are facilitating it might want him out of the picture, or at least to restrict his movement and ability to fight against it.
So he's
So
becoming a thorn in their
yeah,
side.
exactly. So I think that it's a frame, but like I said, it's so personal to him that it's a good frame in all honesty if it is one because it seems almost possible that he would do that. I personally don't think he would.
Yeah, it does seem out of keeping for somebody associated with the church.
Exactly.
Which
And
had a
he's devoted his life to this church, so it really he would be going against a lot to do that.
yeah. Yeah, if you were Catholic, that'd be a different story.
Yeah. But yeah,
Oh,
I don't know. That's it's a really strange situation there. But yeah, was there anything else at the beginning of the party that I missed?
Um, well, we saw, oh shoot, Captain Razgar was at the party,
Nice.
so yeah, talked with him a bit. Um, he's doing okay. Let's see. Let me try and review what we ended up doing during all that. But yeah, he's actually working with House Mordell now.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. And apparently, Lady Mordell can be short-tempered at times. That might be handy to know if we ever have to deal with her.
Got it.
Yeah.
Then yeah, and Jared's supposed brother is named Grinstead Largai or Largai, and yeah, he was talking about the house trying to restore to its former glory,
Uh-huh.
and that's how we learn more about the restorers, or that they're the restorers of the seal.
Man, that's wild. I would have never expected that from Jared, but you know.
Um, Let's see. There was an assassination. Oh yeah, that's right. That assassin was trying to go after Hamilla, but
Oh my
turns out the
God.
guy had a massive snake phobia.
Okay. Yeah, did you turn into a big snake?
No, I just watched as 8 smaller snakes decided to
Wrapped all around him.
demonstrate their undying affection.
That's awesome. Well, yeah,
Uh,
okay, so if this assassination actually attempted to take place, that means that we have hard evidence to like look into some stuff if we want to, or how much of that is being dealt with by the nobles so that we couldn't like really get involved.
Might be worth talking to Elru on that. She's the one who first put Oreo on that case, who got
Mm,
us, the rest of us, involved. And Elru's the one who actually got that information out of the assassin.
okay. I think
Which,
it would, yeah.
oh, and one thing that was kind of interesting was because Lord Valenstar did mention that assassins typically don't really know anything about what they're doing, making them hard to use for information. So the fact that this assassination knew who sent them seems a little
That's off.
suspicious.
Yeah, that's a little too blatant. I
Yeah.
think she might have some other good information. I'm pretty sure I could get it from her too, because as he made clear in the meeting, if you guys told me this, didn't he say her job was on the line or something, or that she would have punishment if
She
this
she was
wasn't
doing
properly?
yeah, she was doing security there.
So then, yeah, maybe we could form like a little mutually beneficial uh, information exchange and service exchange.
And oh, do you remember the night before the celebration where we had to go back? We went back while Devok was doing his little contractor work. We followed up on those murder conspirators behind that one shop.
I don't think I remember that.
Okay, well, during the Marshall tournament, there was
Hmm.
somebody in the crowd who seemed to be part of the murder plot. I tried
Ooh,
to track the plot,
yes.
but didn't
Okay,
succeed.
yeah.
Well, we spied on the meeting that guy went to because they had
Hmm.
rescheduled it. And
Yes.
he met with some other shadowy figure, and I saw that guy at the Valenstar celebration. He didn't do anything, well, at least not that I saw while we were there. It's apparently some guy named Churko,
Hmm.
um, who is apparently well-to-do. Yeah, Churko Bithsy or something like that. So anyway, I asked Elru to let us know if that guy takes any unusual interest in the Lumev expedition, but hadn't heard anything there. Let's see.
Devok isn't here right now, but you might want to mention his thing.
Hold on, I'm trying to get to that here. Oh yeah, so Devok and I were talking to Oberemt Eikla, and granted, I couldn't hear their side of it, but I could see that he was talking about some sort of civil rights movement, so that's probably right up your alley.
Ah,
Um,
what I like to hear.
yeah. So that's somebody you may want to get in contact with.
What was that name again?
Oberemt Eikla.
Ipla. Okay, got it.
Let me see if I can paste that in roll 20.
Yeah, I might throw that in my notes.
There's
Kind of like
another
that.
Devok thing though to also keep in mind that you probably want to mention or talk about.
Oh, but that's
Mm.
such a hard name to say. Oberampt Eikla. Right.
somebody sneezed on a keyboard. I'm sorry,
Well,
Jeremy. I was
not
just
that.
joking.
I think it's a cool looking name. I just don't have the.
Oh, just so you know, that's actually a real name. It's
I
I didn't
I
make it
know.
up.
No, I
I
know. It
I,
looks
I was literally
believable.
joking, Jeremy. I know you
Okay.
have a source for names that just is trying to be funny.
Oberampt Eikla. All right, awesome. And then there was something else.
And then, so there was this guy named Arbitman Clayman who seemed bothered by something. I think at the time I was thinking maybe he was involved with the assassination attempt, which might still be the case, but who knows. The thing though is that so we ended up spying on that guy a bit later,
Hmm.
And let's see, um, where was that? But basically, there's apparently some sort of tunnels and stuff under the Sidaga wards.
Oh, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
there
what are we
was
talking
Yeah.
about? Like
not just
London
tunnels. It
crypts
was
type
like some.
deal, or like
Yeah. Lord,
what?
according to Devok, Lord Clayman said that he's apparently up to something that could result in a lot of deaths, and that Devok was told he needs to find out what it is.
Hmm.
So we did some checking on that and spying on a conversation. We didn't get a whole lot, but Lord Clayman talking to a couple other guys, and there's something about using the cult and the den in the abandoned underground tunnels beneath the Sudaga ward.
Wild. Okay.
So yeah, we have a lot to go looking for there.
Yeah, we have so many leads to follow up on.
Oh, wow, it's going to be another 60-hour day.
Yeah, something like that.
Mhm.
All right, if that's everything, I think we can table that discussion.
Yeah, I think that's most of the details there.
Sweet.
All right. So if you guys are done with that, the last thing is to if there's anything you want to do during the day on the 13th. Basically, we're going to stop when it's evening, and then you have that, and you start doing your investigations and stuff. But is there anything you want to do before you get into all that?
I just
I
wanted to
need
let you
to.
know I bought some of the Find Familiar
Reagents.
things. Yeah,
Okay.
I spent 10 gold for each. I just have it in my equipment as like the Find Familiar materials. I bought three. I spent 30 gold. Does that sound right?
Okay, that sounds fine.
Okay, cool.
By the way, everybody's going to
Yes.
want to be real careful today.
Okay.
It's Adner Day the 13th.
Oh. Does that actually have something important in the calendar too?
If you look at the calendar, Adner Day is the equivalent of Friday,
Uh-huh. If I
so it's
okay,
Friday
yeah,
the
so Friday
13th.
the 13th, there's gonna be some wacky stuff going on. I figured.
All right.
That's cool.
So Joel went shopping. Oreo or Pico or Ragu, are you doing any shopping?
I just pick up
Um,
my stuff.
Okay.
and yeah, I wanted to do this earlier in the week, but we got sidetracked. But once I found out what the iridescent armor did, I went ahead and told everybody what it does, so anybody who wants it can take it. Um,
And you guys will
because
have
I
to
really
speak
like
up
my.
if somebody wants to take it. You have to speak up and let Ragu know.
Yeah, because it's in my character sheet. But anyway, um, I wanted to go to Gimbal to start doing the training, and I brought a couple of Lumev artifacts with me, like he had said. And on top of that, I want to talk to him about maybe upgrading my armor because, well, Pico had explained to me about his friend who was able to, you know, improve his moon claws, and I like. I can switch armors and everything, but I can never get the better protection than what I'm having here. So I'm wondering if either Gimbal or if he can't, maybe Pico's friend can be helping me see about upgrading the molten armor I already have, and rather than trying to find something new, just keep adding and upgrading because I do like the nice
Okay.
bronze skin.
So the first thing is you go through. You use it consumes one of the Lumev artifacts, so you can just mark one off. And you gain the first, I think the first of your 4 training sessions. So mark that somewhere on your sheet. So in case I forget. So that takes 4 hours. And then you ask about upgrading the armor, and Gimbal says, "Well, upgrading a magical artifact like that is pretty difficult, but I'll look into it for you."
Okay. Um, Do you know how long about that will be taking? Because I mean, like, I do have this ring here that I do not, I cannot be attuned to too many things. But if you could just like, if it was helpful to be incorporating the ring into the armor to give me like a +1 or something, I don't know.
Well, give me a couple of days and come back.
Okay. Okay, and it was the first of 4 training sessions, you said?
Yeah.
All right, and how many of those could I squeeze in through the week?
Um, if you really want to spend 8 hours, you can squeeze in 2 instead of 1. If you're willing to spend eight hours of your day, which would basically consume the rest of your day, up until that thing you have to do tonight.
Okay, well, I was assuming some of this was going on over the course of our training week.
No, because during the training you didn't have 4 hours.
Yeah, this is the first day after the training.
Yeah.
We're
Okay, in
officially
that
off
case,
the long rest.
okay, in that case, yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing is
Okay.
I'll stay the day with Gimbal because I'm really interested. I am eager to learn.
Yep, and obviously it won't do you a lot of good if you don't get the training done before your next expedition, so that makes total sense.
Yeah.
All right, so Ragu's busy for the day. Oreo, are you doing anything today?
No, just she'll take the new fancy weapons on her, or not weapons, armor, and just practice things out on her own for a bit. Just get used to them.
Okay,
I've also updated the character sheet to reflect the new AC, by the way.
awesome. All right, cool. And Pico.
Even though it's technically been a week, I'm going to assume that Davala's research isn't going to be finished yet.
It's probably finished by now.
Okay, well, in that case, I will go back to the library and check in with Ivala.
All right, so yeah, once you arrive, you can see she has some papers that she kind of digs out as you approach, and she says, "Well, I'll need more time to get more, but I have found some information that you might find interesting." Um, so the first thing is you asked why the seal made Kashura invulnerable, right?
Yes.
And, well, I have an answer for you, although it's a little strange. So, one of the things that the mages and priests were able to discover is that the seal actually sealed in the spirits of the dead, but also the spirits of the Jart invaders that the seal, the seal by the gods was meant to protect us from. And while these Jart spirits on their own couldn't do anything, apparently there were certain vessels that they're able to control, and one of those vessels was Kashura, who my understanding is that he was once a demigod, perhaps, or at least something of that nature. And so my understanding is that if the vessel was destroyed, normally the spirit would be essentially pushed away. They would ascend or what have you. But because they were sealed, they would just re-enter the vessel, and it had enough power to reconstitute it. And so it'd just be a cycle, and then the cycle of destroying the vessel and the vessel regenerating. And so Kashura would not be killable. Um, as far as the timing goes, my understanding is that when the seal was removed, basically these spirits exerted a lot of pressure, and as the seal was removed, it's like the pressure had releases now, so all those spirits basically got pushed away rapidly. But if, on the other hand, though, if Kashura had some way, some pre-warning, I guess. There's something he could do. Like one of the mages believes he could have put a seal over the entire city that he was in, and keep the Jart spirit controlling him within that seal. And so if he had enough time to prepare that in advance, then he still would have been unkillable, even if only in that area. And obviously, nobody would have known he was limited to that area, so he would have just seemed downright unkillable. So I think that's why they told you that you couldn't release it too early. As far as the artifacts and whether the seal can come back, my understanding is the seal can't come back on its own. But my understanding is that there are artifacts in the world. There are other sources of artifacts in the world. There are other places like that dwarven city, and if they are discovered, then it is possible to restore the seal. Apparently, there were multiple redundancies.
That is very, very interesting.
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to figure out where those are, and I'm not sure if that knowledge exists. Or if it does, maybe only certain people know and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's about all I was able to figure out.
Well, that is actually some really great information. I am impressed.
Well, thank you. So, she scratches her head. I'm not sure what that means for us now, but I'm sure you had reason to look into this.
Yep, I'm worried that the seal may be brought back up to solve things like the Kylon problem, which, while not only may it not help that, based on what you're describing, it sounds like some enterprising individual could try and take advantage of that sort of thing to maybe deliberately ascend themselves to similar power.
It's possible. My understanding, though, is Kashura lived a long time, over 1,000 years. So, I and it took all that time for him to have an attack that came that close to success, which suggests that it takes a while to figure out how to do this and build up the power.
Probably, but you know, as an elf, you know that there are definitely plenty that can live a very long time pretty naturally, and there are other long-lived races. So yeah, I think we both know that there could be plenty of very aged individuals around. So just because it may take a long time doesn't mean it hasn't already been in the works for a long time, which could be potentially worrisome.
She sighs. Well, I guess there's lots to worry about nowadays.
Oh, is there ever a time when there's not?
She shrugs. All right, is there anything else you needed?
Um, Not much, although it was kind of funny that I mentioned the whole thing about being unconscious because they actually tried to declare me dead during my training.
Okay, so they literally trained you to death.
Well, so they thought. They were quite surprised and maybe a little bit horrified when I suddenly woke up. When somebody decides you're dead, they tend to get rather upset when you suddenly act like you're not.
Okay, I wonder when we're going to start hearing rumors of the undead tabaxi.
Um, I already heard a little bit of whispering in the back room the day it happened. So I don't know. I guess you can keep your ears out.
Okay then. Well, You're a little weird. No offense, but you seem to be alive to me.
Well, hopefully this doesn't suddenly start giving Black Tabaxi a bad reputation.
She shrugs.
All right. Well, again, thank you. And yep, if you manage to find any other information, I will be glad to hear it.
You're welcome.
All right. I'll go ahead and head out.
Okay. Galen, are you doing anything?
Like I said, I was buying the materials. I did want to go talk to Gadrick, but I think I might wait for Ire and some other people.
Okay,
I
so
was
you want to
just
do that next session then?
yeah, I think I would just buy the stuff and then head right into hunting down leads.
Okay. All right. So Ragu is busy the rest of the day. Is there anybody else who has anything to do during the day? If not, I think we can actually call the session early. Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss with each other or anything like that, or is that it?
Did you get everything done with your warlock upgrade there?
Yes, so I put in all the features and that I don't know how to add my familiar stuff, but I'm sure that can't
Okay.
be too difficult.
Well, if Jeremy already gave you or is going to make your familiar for you, you won't have to worry about it. It'll show up in your players list.
Cool, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I got everything. I just haven't
Okay.
picked my spells, but I will do that throughout the week.
Okay.
Not a problem. Just if you had any more questions or anything, I've done a lot of research into the warlock class.
Okay, cool. I'll look at all the different spells. I'll probably like text you on Discord or something. Like probably in like the middle of the week after I do some of my homework.
Not a problem.
Okay, cool.
I'm
Thank you.
available. Mhm.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and show you your experience then. So you get 840 experience for session 37. I actually gave experience, 280 experience from treasure, mainly because you finally got your armor identified, and Oreo managed to get the upgrades and things she wanted. And 560 from exploration, and this would just be digging up clues like um, what Pico did. And nobody learned by failure except for Pico, who horribly flubbed his history roll, which had Ragu also flubbed it, would have meant that that extra piece of information would have been lost. And I hope you guys don't mind having a light session. But we will definitely continue like normal next time. And when by the time we start next time, everybody should be fully leveled up and ready to go.